Well, welcome to the Netherlands.
Thank you so much.
How are you today?
I am doing much better than I was yesterday.
Yeah.
I got sick yesterday. That's what the joke is.
All right. Yeah. Well, I'm happy that you are here and not somewhere
Me too.
in the toilets puking. So, have you met any cool fans already now that you're here?
Yes, everybody has been so nice, A. And B, I was so excited. So I was in an anime called Noragami.
Yeah.
And it has kind of like a cult following. It's not like really big like My Hero Academia, but it is well liked. And 2 people came up cosplaying Jason and I's characters, and it was
so
just
cool.
like the best surprise to
That's so cool. All right, so I want to go back to beginning because I looked at your IMDb page. Lots of credits. You've done many things.
I like to stay busy.
Yeah, that's cool. So how did your journey into voice acting begin?
I have wanted to be an actor since I was like itty bitty, like 5 years old. But for whatever reason, I just kind of thought, movies, TV and stuff. So growing up, I did acting, theater. I got my degree in theater in college. And I lived in LA and pursued on-camera work for about 5 years after college.
Yeah.
And then I ended up having to move from California out to Texas, which has an industry, but it's not as big.
Yeah.
And so I kind of had to start thinking outside the box if I wanted to continue to make a living as a performer.
Yeah.
And I was chatting with some friends about it, and they were like, Elizabeth, you have the training, you have a good voice, and you love anime and video games. Like, I started playing video games when I was 5, started watching anime when I was 10 or 11. So they're like, why don't you do voice acting? Like, it just seems like it would fit. And I was kind of like, mind was blown.
Yeah.
I was like, how have I never thought of this before?
Yeah.
So that was kind of the genesis of it. Yeah. And I ended up putting together my own demo reel and then started like marketing myself and sending it out to companies that I knew were hiring voice actors. So,
because which animes did you like growing up?
Oh my gosh. So the first anime I ever saw was the original Ghost in the Shell movie.
Okay, yeah.
Which honestly, I watched it probably too young of an age. I was really into JoJo's Bizarre Adventure as well. And Escaflowne was one of my favorites too.
Okay.
So yeah, those are kind of the highlights, I would say.
Yeah. And then you had the epiphany and you're like, yes, I can do this too.
Yeah. Well, it's like, it's really cool to both love an art form and love the job behind it, if that makes sense.
Exactly. Is there any particular character that you've played or a project that stands out to you as your favorite or one that has changed your career?
Oh gosh. I mean, My Hero Academia was a big one because the show, just got so big. Noragami is a personal favorite of mine. If you haven't watched it, I highly recommend checking it out. And another one, Fruits Basket. Okay. I don't know if you've seen Fruits Basket. It's a really old classic anime that never got finished. And then in 2019, they kind of rebooted it and finished it.
Yeah.
And it is one of my favorite anime of all times. It's so good. The story is so good. The art is so good. I think I cried every single episode of the last season. It's just a really, really, really classic, good anime.
Right. So you've voiced both characters for both anime and video games.
Yes.
What would you say is the biggest difference between the two?
Well, it kind of depends. Sometimes in video games, you're also dubbing like you do in anime, like with the Zelda games. We were dubbing over, the Japanese performances with the videos and stuff. But a lot of times you aren't dubbing, so there's a little more freedom in like how you can portray the character because you can take the time you want to say something. You're not, hindered by the lip flaps and stuff. So that's one big difference. But another big difference is that sometimes with video games, you're playing really rich, complex characters. Other times your character is like simply there to like impart information and to remind you like, hey, you need to go to that village and talk to that person.
Yeah.
And you have to come up with a way to say that like 5 different times and make them interesting without it just being, you know, like I'm going to word vomit information at you. So,
so when you dub an anime or a video game, do you go back and watch the original performance from the original actor? Or?
I try to. When I first started doing anime, I would always do that.
Yeah.
But with, you know, the advent of simulcast dubbing, often we can't do that anymore because literally the episode will come out in Japan and then a couple days later it comes out in the US.
Yeah.
So we don't have the ability to watch it beforehand because it's not really available. Whereas it used to be like a whole season would come out in Japan and then we would dub it in the US.
Yeah.
So that has changed a lot. I think it's a beautiful thing for the fans that they don't have to wait so long. But I do miss being able to watch and know the story before I hop in and do it myself. But.
Because you do portray some very complex characters, because anime is known for its complex characters, complex storylines. How do you approach a character like that? How do you make sure that complexity shines through in the voice, because you don't have the face, obviously, to portray the character?
It kind of depends on the character, but I do always try and find as much source material as I can. Again, I don't often have time to read like an entire manga of a show before I dub it, but I try to find out as much as I can, whether that's from talking to people who have read the manga, or sometimes the director of the show will have had time to do so as well. I end up leaning on the directors a lot for that information. And so I try to do as much prep work as possible, but a lot of it just happens like in the moment in the booth, which is why I tell people who want to become voice actors, taking like regular acting training is so important, as is improv, because you're having to make these really big choices in the moment while you're there. And it's, you know, having that training is really helpful.
Because what a lot of people don't know is that voice acting actually is also very heavy on the physicality when you are performing. So which character of yours was the most challenging when it comes to the physicality of the performance?
Honestly, I would probably say Caulifla from Dragon Ball. Because not only does she scream a lot, which is challenging in its own way, but she's very animated. She's very, you know, playful and cocky and moves around a lot. And you want to do that in your own body because it's, you know, body is the connection, you know, there's a connection between the head, the voice, and the body. But you have to be careful because you've got the microphone and you can't be like bumping it, you know, with your arms, or you can't be going, they call it off axis. Off axis, where you can't go too far to the side of the microphone, you can't get too close to it. So you have this really physical character, but you've got to really rein it in so that you're making sure the vocal performance is technically correct. So that was a challenge.
So how do you scream and make it convincing? Because I sometimes, you know, when I have to pretend to scream, it doesn't come out as well as...
Well, I mean, the truth is that if you want it to sound convincing, you can't pretend to scream.
That's true.
And again, that goes back to, I do a lot to take care of my voice, a lot of like warming up, and hydration is a really big thing. And there's also vocal techniques that you can learn for how to scream in a way that won't damage your voice as much. But I mean, when I was doing the Dragon Ball episodes, it was always like, if I knew it was a big episode, I wouldn't schedule any other work the next day because I knew I would need to kind of take a break and like let my voice heal a little bit.
What is your favorite vocal warm-up technique?
Sounds so nerdy. But it's something called straw phonation.
Okay.
And it's literally, you can do it with like plastic straws from McDonald's if you want, but I have stainless steel ones.
Okay.
And basically, like your vocal folds, they undulate together like this, right?
Yeah.
But if there's something wrong with your voice, or you've just woken up, or they can get a little off where they're like doing that instead of like together. And straw phonation, you blow through a straw in this particular way where it kind of creates a circular air effect that makes your vocal folds start vibrating in the right way again.
Okay.
So it's like both, I do it to warm up, and I also do it if I'm having to scream.
Yeah.
I'll do it like in between, so it'll keep my vocal cords in better condition.
Oh, that's so cool.
I don't know. It's weird, nerdy voice things that I love.
Yeah. So no weird sounds for you to warm
Oh,
up.
I do that too.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
of course.
totally. I also do that, but
All right.
I love the tongue twisters. I like to try and find like new tongue twisters.
Yes. What's your favorite?
I do like the, as I sit in solemn silence on a dull, dark dock in a pestilential prison with a lifelong lock, awaiting the sensation of a short, sharp shock from a chippy, chippy chopper on a big black block.
Impressive. I forgot half of those
I have
already. Could you do one in Dutch, do you think?
I wish. Will you teach me one in Dutch?
Yeah. We'll do an easy one. Yes? De kat krabt de krullen van de trap.
De kat krab
De krullen
de krullen
van de trap.
van de top.
De kat
De kat
krabt
de kat krabt
de krullen
de krullen
van
van
de
de
trap.
top. I'm not going to try and do that fast again. We'll work on it.
Yeah,
we'll
it's
work
fine.
on it. And
Yeah,
maybe
all weekend.
I'll post a little video maybe later when I've got it down.
De kat krabt de krullen van de trap. Okay. Great. So, in recent years, the voice acting industry has seen a significant growth, especially with the rise in popularity of anime.
Mm-hmm.
How have you seen the industry evolve in the years that you've been active, and how do you see that change continuing in the future?
It has been very interesting. I mean, I know this is maybe kind of like duh, but COVID changed everything, you know, in a lot of negative ways, unfortunately, but also in some positive ways too, in that I think it really brought anime back into like the pop culture eye. I felt like I saw a huge surge in popularity of anime during and after COVID. Mm-hmm. And COVID did also make remote recording a more normal, regular thing in our industry.
Yeah.
It used to be that hardly any actors had home studios.
Yeah.
And then during COVID, obviously that had to change if we wanted to continue working. And while I do miss going into the studio as often, I mean, I still do it, just not as often. I do miss being around people more. The remote recording also opens up a lot of doors.
Yeah.
You know, I can record with studios all over the world now that I may not have been able to earlier. So that's been interesting. That's been a big change. I feel like these types of conventions have become much bigger and more popular since COVID, which is so cool to like I get lonely in the booth, but then I get to come and do these things and like meet everybody, which is awesome. And then, I mean, the AI thing is a big like question mark for the future. We're all kind of like, what's going to happen, which I don't know if you knew, there's a video game strike happening in the US. It's been going on for about 8 or 9 months now.
Okay.
And it's all basic. I mean, it's not all about AI, but it's mostly about AI, because most of us know that like you can't put technology back in the bottle. Like, we're not saying AI isn't going to happen or it can't, or prevent it from happening. We're just trying to make sure that there are guidelines in place, you know, that if a studio wants to make a replica of our voice, that we get, you know, fairly compensated for it. Consent and is another big thing, because there are some game studios that basically want to be able to make a replica of my voice, and then never tell me what they do with it.
Oh, that's not
Yeah.
nice.
And I'm like, so you could make me say really hateful, racist, bigoted things and like not tell me or not ask for my permission to do that?
Yeah.
So those are like some of the big things that we're fighting for, because we know it's going to happen. We just want to make sure it's done with respect to the artist when it does happen.
All right. Well, that's all the time that we have today.
Thank you
so much for talking to us.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah.